And we're back.
Hi everyone, it's been a while. I am Matthew D. Smith, also known as Matthew D. Smith.
And I am Leslie Way, also known as Leslie Way. Great start to the podcast, but
Mhm.
hey, it's been a hot minute. Uh, there's been a bit of a. I'm going to chop all this out, I think.
Let's keep it in.
Or not,
Let's
or
let's
not. Let's keep
recap.
it in.
Let's
So,
recap.
what has been happening in the past
Where
3 years?
where were we with
Well,
our last episode?
or could have been 4 years actually. I think we started the podcast in 2020, and then we haven't picked it up since 2020. Well, until 2024. So yeah, for the past 4 years, a lot has happened. You've had a baby.
I had the baby.
Yeah,
Yes, he's
I did
running
not have a
around.
baby.
No, but you bought a
Uh,
house,
I
so
bought a
we're both
house.
grown-ups now.
I bought a house, and I've got two cats now. So yeah, that's something.
We had a pandemic. Did you have a fun pandemic, Leslie?
Yeah, it was a bit up and down, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
But now we're back, and it's been a while. So we thought, in podcast terms, this is pretty much a legacy sequel. We brought back.
whoa! Cue the intro.
We brought back
Perfect.
all the characters that you love. Uh, I think love might be a bit of a strong word. We're continuing our story. We might even have a twist at the end where it turns out that Leslie is me and I am Leslie.
By characters, are you referring to me and you as characters of this show?
I guess we would be the characters. We don't really
Because I
have any
believe
other hey everybody. We got like a little sidekick.
we could come up with some characters that could be a reoccurring bit for us. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you let's not throw people too far into the deep end. If people are coming to this podcast for the very first time, they probably need to know a little something about what this is. This is obviously Chatting Pitch, our podcast that we started 4 years ago and then stopped for some reason. But we're back, and the idea is to talk about movies and pitch each other movie ideas. And moving forward, I think we've discovered that we can literally do anything, couldn't we? We can talk about any movies we want, and it could be new movies, it could be old movies. And in this situation, we're talking about legacy sequels.
So we're talking
Now,
about old movies and new movies at the same time,
at
really,
the
aren't
same
we?
time, yeah. What is this? A Christopher Nolan movie?
Oh my God. We're so
Going backwards,
efficient as
forwards.
well. I think we could just do this episode and just leave it another 4 years. I think we'll be
Yeah.
fine.
And then yeah, uh, and then there'll be the legacy sequel, which could be a prequel.
It'll just be us with white hair and we'll be looking a bit,
With our big Ghostbusters. What are they
yeah.
called? The
The way you're doing it, you can't see Leslie, but he's playing a bass guitar, essentially.
what is that thing? What is the thing that they hold in Ghostbusters called?
Oh, I'm going to look it up because we're going to look
It's
like
called
idiots.
it's called the Ghostbuster, right?
Transponster.
Well,
Ghostbusters
Matt looks that up. I guess what
backpack
is
name.
it? Is it a Ghostbusters backpack?
Proton pack. I didn't have to look
Proton
that up.
pack. Yeah.
We'll chop that up. It'll be seamless.
Well, this year is the year for legacy sequels. We've just got one that came out called was it Ghostbusters 5 this time. It's more Morbius. This
This
time
time,
there's more busting.
this time we're busting ghosts, unlike all the
Yeah.
other times where we busted ghosts.
And what is the deal with legacy sequels?
What
Seriously,
is with them?
what is the deal with legacy sequels? Why? So I before we started this episode, I actually watched a video on YouTube, basically explaining what a legacy sequel is. And if you didn't know, it's taking an old existing franchise or property and rebooting it, but it's not exactly a reboot. It is a kind of like soft reboot slash very later on the stage sequel. So think of your Tron Legacies, or think of your what's the other one?
Top Gun Maverick. That's
Top
another
Gun
one.
Maverick, that's another one.
Be an example, I would say, of a good legacy sequel.
Yeah. Jumanji, The Next Level, or
Mm.
Welcome to the Jungle, which was also another rock movie, which is very confusing. And
Yes.
they've somehow tied those two movies together, which were very different movies.
And they usually have, not always, like in the case of Jumanji, but they usually have the old characters passing the torch to the new ones in
Right.
some way.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. Sometimes quite literally. And I haven't seen this movie, but remember Chevy Chase's Vacation?
yeah,
So they made a legacy sequel on that, and Chevy Chase literally passed the vacation van or car, whatever it is, to Ed
right.
Helms' character. And I just saw that one clip. I haven't seen the movie at all. And sometimes it's quite as literal as that. They're literally passing the torch.
And then afterwards, Chevy refused to stand up and told everyone to get lost. And then had a fist fight with Ed Helms.
Yeah, that's right.
The classic Chevy experience.
Which apparently happened a lot on the set of Community, which was that show that he did.
Have you heard Go on.
Sorry, go ahead. No, you go.
Have you heard the interview with Joel McHale where he talks about actually regularly getting into fist fights with Chevy? And he said that it starts off as kind of like mucking around.
Mm-hmm.
But then he did also say he got in trouble once because he broke Chevy Chase's collarbone. So
right.
Clearly, this is a complex man to work with.
Yeah. But then again, he's funny. So where do you draw the line between like separating the art from the artist? Like sometimes you have to, sometimes you can't. Like take, for instance, let's not get too far into that kind of spectrum, of talking about troubled celebrities.
We're talking
about troubled sequels here, aren't we? We're talking about that thing that Hollywood keeps doing, and quite recently we had that Ghostbusters one. So, have you got a legacy sequel that you actually like? Sometimes they could be quite good.
Yeah, I mentioned Top Gun Maverick. I think Tron Legacy had its moments.
I quite like Tron Legacy. I mean, I think, dare I say, I'm a fair bit biased because I grew up with the original Tron. So when I watched the Tron sequel, I was like, you know what? I quite like this. A movie that's solely based on vibes, though. It's just a big vibe, atmospheric movie with occasional action. But I enjoy it for the set design. I enjoy it for the sound design.
Oh my goodness, the soundtrack.
I don't enjoy it for... I guess the acting is okay. The story was okay, but that's not what you go in there for, And I have discovered I have a soft spot for middle-of-the-road sci-fi action movies.
Okay.
So whether it be Elysium, which is...
So if you're trying to get Leslie into your film, you just need to make sure that your movie is not great, is not terrible, but is okay and features lasers.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But no, you were talking about Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, I enjoyed Top Gun Maverick because it had that thing that a lot of legacy sequels have, where they do sort of they reference the original, but they build on it. Where he had the meeting with Val Kilmer's Iceman.
Yeah.
But it's also not. It's not really necessary to watch the older one if you don't want to. I mean, I'd recommend it because the original is you have to sort of meet it halfway because it is a bit of a silly movie. But if you do meet it halfway, it is quite enjoyable.
Yeah. But I did find when I was watching Top Gun Maverick, I was like, this movie is almost beat for beat the same movie, but just done better. Like for me, it felt like they had the same beats. Like the intro was exactly the same. They had the obligatory beach volleyball scene.
Yeah.
They had the training scene, and then it all leads up to the enemy, who's never named.
So that the film can do well in China.
Exactly.
I mean, Russia. I mean,
yeah. I like how that just fizzled. That joke. It's great. But yeah, I liked Top Gun Maverick. But like more and more these days, I do find Hollywood is just kind of doing these legacy sequels for the sake of doing them, and it's all a cash grab. It's all just based on nostalgia. You know, the Ghostbusters movie before this new movie didn't do that great either, right? Critically, anyway.
You talking
Financially,
about
I'm not sure. I'm talking about Afterlife, which I never watched. Did you watch that one?
No, I didn't check it out in the end because it just struck me as a bit cold, a bit cynical.
And this new one is literally very cold, even colder. In fact,
they're just being totally truthful with it now.
Yeah, the next one's just going to be one big block of ice, and nothing happens. It's just Bill Murray frozen,
dead in the eyes.
Yeah,
dead behind the eyes. There's nothing going on there.
Right.
He really wants to make Caddyshack 2. Now there's your legacy sequel.
Now there's your legacy sequel, which brings us to the next point. So this whole, the idea of our podcast is about trying to come up with ideas that we, it doesn't necessarily exist, and what we find amusing. So, before in the past, we've done stuff like, what would we do if we casted 90s actors in the Marvel Cinematic Universe or something like that, right?
If Pulp Fiction was made today, who would be in it? Yeah, that sort of thing.
Or like, what was the other one that we found quite funny?
RuPaul instead of Samuel L. Jackson.
I think the one that I still hold dear to my heart, the episode that we did about Home Alone versus Taken, that was to this day probably our best episode.
If you want to know what Chatting Pitch is about, I would recommend our second episode where we're over the jitters, and we have Liam Neeson as Brian. Hi, Brian. Protecting Macaulay Culkin, but not really from a pirate. I think
a pirate in a boardroom meeting,
because it's crossovers as well. We talk crossovers. We talk about if different directors were making it. So I don't
literally anything that you can throw at the wall, and if it sticks, then that is what happens in our universe of Hollywood.
Because that's what it's all about. It's all about everyone having their own universe.
Yeah. Also,
eventually, all the universes will converge, and they'll explode into box office poison, and eventually, everyone will just watch mid-budget dramas.
That's right.
But that's a long way off yet, so I think we can get in with our legacy sequels. So, Leslie, do you have any ideas for your legacy sequel? A legacy sequel that hasn't been made yet?
Legacy sequels that I believe should be well, to be honest, it doesn't have to be a thing. It's like, what if we wanted it to be a thing? And there are some franchises that don't need to be touched. Like Back to the Future don't need to be touched. It's fine as it is.
Sure.
Third one wasn't so keen on. Really liked 1 and 2.
Okay.
You actually preferred the third one, did you?
I liked the third one. I think it's one of those rare trilogies for me where maybe the third doesn't hit the heights of the first two. I love the first two, but I think it does. I think it does a good job. But I know what you mean, that it does end the story.
Yeah, it's a complete story, and it works the way it is. I mean, some of the effects are a bit dated, but that's what gives it its charm, in my opinion. And I feel like I think I heard Robert Zemeckis say that you'll have to pry it from his cold dead hands or something if you wanted to reboot the series or do a legacy sequel, but I just don't think those are one of the only franchises where I feel like it doesn't need any more. I think it's fine. They had an animated series, and that was not really canon either. I think they're trying to do a lot of. There are a lot that are in development hell at the moment, like RoboCop, for instance. They're trying to do another one of those. They tried to do a soft reboot with that. What's his name?
Joel Kinnaman.
Joel Kinnaman. That's it. Yeah, and that was like I remember we watched that in the cinema together. I remember.
Yeah.
And
I think what it really lacked was the sort of the satirical elements that the original had.
right,
Because
yeah,
if you look at Paul Verhoeven's films, on the surface they're all very okay. This is just bland action, but then you look
mm.
underneath it, and it's all
There's
commentary on
layers.
stuff.
There
I
are
think I
layers.
think that the the best for that is his Starship Troopers.
Yep, yep,
Again, if you just watch it with sort of the brain switched off, okay, yeah, fine, it's a serviceable action film, and
yeah,
the effects are good for its time. But when you actually watch it with the brain switched on, it's oh, okay, you're actually using the studio system to say something now, which I
yeah,
think a lot of the legacy sequels maybe forget to do or aren't
yep.
able to do, perhaps for certain reasons, maybe studios getting involved, perhaps, or whatever.
Well,
But
I feel like legacy sequels aren't exactly there to promote any sort of message. I think it is quite literally to get people in the cinema seats based
hmm
on nostalgia.
hmm
And they did it with Indiana Jones recently, and I watched that, and it was okay. I don't think it was anything to rave about. It was miles better than the previous one.
okay,
Was that Kingdom of the Crystal,
Kingdom of the
whatever that
Crystal
was?
Skull,
Yeah,
which yeah, I thought had the kernel of a good idea.
yeah.
I don't know what it was. Well, I certainly know that the Shia LaBeouf swinging with the monkeys.
Was the best part. Yeah,
Yeah, that was by far and away the best part. If they opened the movie with that, I would have been sold, but they
Hmm.
didn't. So
But
they should have had a freeze frame of Shia LaBeouf and then maybe like an Arrested Development like voiceover,
right.
but with him maybe. How
And
did I
how'd that
get
go?
here? Oh,
How did I
boy,
get?
I'm going to quit monkeying around and I'm going to take you through the story from the beginning.
Is that Jason Bateman's voice? Just like
I think
not even Shia LaBeouf's
it's
voice.
Ron Howard. It's Ron
Is it Ron
Howard
Howard's
on
voice?
Arrested
Okay.
Development. Although I suppose Arrested Development style, it would be. He thought that swinging through vines would be absolutely no problem. He thought wrong, or something like that. But good.
But saying that, what's a franchise that you would like to have a legacy sequel?
Okay, well, considering everything you've just said, I'm going to go Back to the Future.
Okay.
I think
Oh
it's.
no!
I
No! No!
think
No! No! No!
it's.
No! No!
I think it's
How dare you?
perfect for a soft reboot / sequel. I
You
think it's
think what?
perfect, Leslie, because the story has been finished.
Mm-hmm.
So why not continue it for no reason? We can have
Is that the angle you're going for?
Yeah, that's the angle I'm going for because I think the
Okay.
Hollywood producers, the studios, they're going to love this pitch. So
Mm-hmm.
have the characters come back. Just do more of the same thing again and
Okay.
again.
Right.
Um,
So you're saying it's a legacy sequel. Are the
mhm.
original actors coming back? Because I gotta say, Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox are a little worse for wear in the acting days. I don't think we can really grab
That's
them
okay,
back.
Leslie. That's okay because you've
Because
got
we
you've
can bring
got
the
two
young
options
people
here.
in.
You've got
Yeah.
two options here. Either you
I
bring
know
the
exactly
young
what you're about to. I know exactly what you're about to say. But yeah, go ahead.
you bring the young people in, and you have Marty and Doc turn up for one scene, and they
Mm-hmm.
pass the keys to the DeLorean over.
Okay.
Although I suppose
Two.
you could get a new modern car, can you?
You could, yeah. It would
Like
be a Tesla, wouldn't it?
oh,
Oh no, it wouldn't. Whoa.
but yes, it would
No.
be a Tesla.
Wait, well, the idea back then was that the DeLorean wasn't like considered a time machine car, and that's what kind of was a bit of a shock to the people back in the day. They was like, "Oh, you made a time machine out of the DeLorean," which is literally a quote from the movie. So, what would be a car that's currently trending now that would work? I guess Tesla or
Yeah,
something else. You know?
Ford Fiesta Z-Tech, I guess. Those are your two options, really.
Yeah, a Fiat 500.
Yeah.
Just a tiny little like a Volkswagen Beetle.
One of those 3-wheel ones. I can't remember what they're called. The Reliant Robin. Yeah. The car from Only Fools and Horses.
Yeah, but that was 20 years ago, 30 years ago. We're talking about today. What would you?
You're telling me you made a time machine
out of a Reliant Robin?
Marty!
Oh, Jesus. Oh, but
There's
then
your
the
trailer.
kids.
There's
But you
your
can't
trailer.
say like this is heavy or this is a Great Scott. It has to be modernized, right? With today's lingo. So what would people say? Oh, this is lit. Yo, Doc, this This ride is fire. This time machine is fire, is what they'd say.
Perfect. No notes, no rewrites needed.
Got
So I think
Riz.
you have Marty and Doc turn up for one scene, and then you have a bit of this is heavy, this is lit, crossing over, and they all get confused about what they're all talking about, and that scene's hilarious, and that scene goes into the trailer, and then you have a big moment in the trailer where you have a big pause so the audience can laugh.
Did you come into this podcast recording like with that already planned? Like Back to the Future was the one that you're riffing. You're just riffing.
And then or we go the other route where even though Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox have not passed away, because it's a studio and they've got all the money and all the rights, you just CGI them. CGI is the solution to all problems, Leslie. Doesn't matter if the actors are dead or not. Just CGI them for the entire movie. Make the rest live action. Stuff them in the DeLorean. It's fine.
Make a Peter Cushing, Grand Moff Tarkin series. Just his cold dead face for 12 episodes.
Yeah. Michael J. Fox is really smooth, and he can be available whatever days that you need him. He hasn't got any of the charm anymore, but he's available and he's cheap. That's the main thing, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
And then you have them go through the same story beats. Who needs things like character growth or anything like that? Just have them go through the same old thing. Answer questions. I think Back to the Future probably has a lot of memes associated with it. So you could probably make a scene about the memes, I guess.
There's a scene dedicated about memes. And then they travel back in time and the memes start disappearing. Is that what it is?
So that shot of Christopher Lloyd with the big helmet of light bulbs on his head, the light bulbs start disappearing.
Just all Yeah. Okay.
It's perfect. Yeah. All the memes start disappearing from instead of a photo, it's Michael J. Fox is checking, like Marty is checking his Twitter account or his X account.
Yeah,
there
it's being deactivated. It's like, no.
That's ultimate cross-media references because we've got the Tesla, we've got the truck, we've got the Cyberdyne truck or whatever they're calling it.
The Cyberdyne truck. And he's God, I wish I knew more. I wish I knew more Terminator quotes to be able to riff on that. Is Cyberdyne Terminator?
Yeah. Okay. Who knows? Elon Musk has got enough money. He could probably pay for the rights. All I know is that those Cyberdyne trucks, you can fire a gun at them, but you can't lean on them. So,
Okay. Yeah.
Read the handbook. Yeah. Read the handbook, guys.
You can fire a gun at them, but you can't throw a ball at the window.
No, if you throw a soft plastic bouncy ball at the window, it will kill you.
Yeah.
And be sure any legacy sequel, just make sure you've got loads of references to the original. Just reference after reference. Go on.
2 questions. You said about passing the torch to new actors. Who would they be?
The
new Marty and Doc.
The new Marty and Doc.
There has been a fan casting. I thought that's where you were leaning towards, but I guess not.
What was the fan casting?
So there's a very popular clip that's going around, which they deep faked Marty McFly and the Doc.
Is it one of those where it's Arnie and Stallone again?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It is the Doc, Robert Downey Jr., and Marty McFly was Tom Holland. And it was eerily...
Who made these deep fakes? That is so lazy.
Satan himself.
Honestly.
What would you do then? What would you do? Make it better.
Anything else. Robert Downey
Sam
Jr.
Worthington.
Robert Downey Jr. and a blank wall. That's... Don't bring Sam Worthington in this.
And his Avatar CGI double.
Don't make me cut you off.
Jared Leto. There we go.
Oh.
Got him. Yeah.
It's a me. It's a heavy. Marty is a heavy. What can I do for you?
I don't know enough Sam Worthington impressions to have him be. Who was there? Was this Jared Leto was House of Gucci version of
House of
the Marty,
Gucci in Back to the Future. Yeah.
yeah, as the Doc. So who would be Marty McFly? It has to be a young actor, right?
I don't know. Anything's
Someone...
better than that. Downey Jr., Tom Holland. Oh, they're in a movie together. What if they're in another movie together? Oh.
Okay, well, what's
I
the,
know that my pitch so far has been quite sarcastic, but I do think you could
I
have
do think it has legs.
The problem is now I'm tempted to cast two people that I would actually enjoy seeing in those roles, and I think
go for it.
Possibly a pairing of Maya Rudolph in the Doc role, but not really as Doc, as her own version. And then maybe someone like Alison Brie in the Marty role.
Oh, okay.
So they're a bit closer in age, I think, than Doc and Marty.
Ghostbusters 2016 is what we're doing. Is that what you're doing?
Well,
like
no,
gender swapping them?
No, I didn't, not actively. I just picked two people that I think were quite funny.
Okay. So why those two then?
I've seen Maya Rudolph do sort of funny, but also supposed to be a figure of, what's the word I'm looking for here?
Authority?
Yeah, a figure of authority. I've seen her do that in The Good Place. You ever see The Good Place?
I have seen a little bit of The Good Place. I didn't get that far. Okay. I think I got as far as, spoiler alert, if anyone hasn't seen Good Place, but whoever the monk character was, or the guy who was like at the beginning of the first season, he revealed himself to not actually be a monk, and he was
Jason
actually
Mendoza.
just a regular dude. Yeah. So that's as far as I got.
Okay. Well, is
it worth watching?
Oh, definitely. She turns up a lot later as sort of, not to spoil it, but almost the ultimate authority figure. And she's really funny in that role. I think Alison Brie, she can do
comedy quite well.
She can do comedy quite well, but she can also bring... she can bring the drama, but I don't want it to be one of those... I don't want it to be one of those legacy sequels where the trailer and the film itself sort of treats the original film as if it was this super serious thing going on.
Okay, right.
Because Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters, is like a bunch of like Saturday Night Live cast members just getting together and just screwing around. Mm-hmm. But it almost gets treated
somehow.
It wasn't. Just treat it as it was. Because the first one is great.
I haven't seen the legacy sequels, so I don't know if there is more comedy in it. Because I guess that's one of the reasons why they cast Paul Rudd to be in it, because he is a comedy actor. Mm. But from the trailers, it does seem a little bit too serious, and that's not what we want to go for. But no, that's really interesting. That's really cool that you would want to take such a beloved franchise and
run it into the ground. I want either a new trilogy, or I force the first new installment onto people. It gets hated, and another sequel to that one gets greenlit anyway, and that one is even more hated. That's what I want.
Okay, all right.
I think that will really help Back to the Future fans just see some more references.
Am I to assume that people who do this, like who's the studio head that does this a lot? Is it Kathleen Kennedy or is it somebody else?
Kathleen Kennedy, Star Wars stuff.
Well, that was a legacy sequel, wasn't it?
Yeah, but some of those are quite like, it's not a legacy sequel in that, hey, here's the exact same thing again. It's similar in that you've got the hero's journey happening, but
yeah. Okay. Oh, you know what? Legacy sequel that I don't really think it needs to be done. Or it needed to be done anyway, is those Jurassic Park sequels. Which I think the first one was like, okay, so it's the same movie, basically, not as good. The second one, more of the same. Oh, different director, a little bit of horror. The Lost World, same thing. And then I'd never watched the third one. What was it? Jurassic Park Dominion. Never watched it.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park 3 in the plane with the dinosaur.
Yeah. Not to. This isn't like a for listeners. This isn't a manufactured marketing thing. But I have just recently written an article about legacy sequels.
Oh yeah.
On Medium, which I talked about because I wanted to write an article about Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Because they're writing a new one, right? David Cohen.
I don't know.
Is the writer of the original Jurassic Park.
Who's directing the new one?
I don't know who's directing it. I think it's just news that David Cohen is writing the new Jurassic World.
I think somebody quite well known is directing a new Jurassic Park sequel series. It's probably called Jurassic Universe or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, so lasers. Back to the Futures for you. You're the one who wants to ruin Back to the Future. Great. I see I've lost you in the train of thought.
Sorry, I was just dreaming about Jurassic Universe.
It was like that moment in Pineapple Express where
disguises.
He was just disguises, space, subpoenas. Fantastic movie. That's a legacy sequel that I would like to see.
Pineapple Express 2.
Yeah. But we both know that will never come to fruition because they kind of parodied it already in the movie This Is the End, which is as close as a sequel you can get to. But,
plus James Franco.
Yeah. He's kind of fallen off the rails a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's not the one that I wanted to talk about. I actually have a couple. I've got 3 movies written down that I think deserve a legacy sequel. At least I think would be great to see. And these all are one-shot movies. They've never had a sequel before. And here we go. I'm just going to list them all, and then we can pick whichever one we want to talk about.
Okay. Are they all middling sci-fi action films?
No, they are all. 2 are. One's very sci-fi. The other one could be construed as a sci-fi, like sci-fi family movie. And the third one is a straight-up action movie.
Okay.
And I believe there aren't sequels to these movies, at least to my knowledge, okay? Here we go. Number 1, Galaxy Quest. I think if you got the right cast, that would be... Because that was a great movie. I thought... everyone did. The only downside is that Alan Rickman is no longer with us. So you wouldn't really be able to do that. So much like your notion of running Back to the Future down to the ground, I want to do the same thing to Galaxy Quest. I want it to die. I want to ruin that franchise, baby. No, that's
and Tim Allen would do
it. Yeah. Toy Story 7. What was the other? Santa Claus 8. He'll do anything.
He will.
The other 2 are Small Soldiers, which I think has potential because I recently saw on YouTube somebody did a little short, using some sort of gaming engine. I think it was like Unreal 5 or something like that, and they made this great looking
Unreal 5, Unreal 6, Tim Allen.
Unreal 6.
When the Unreal Engine logo comes up at the start of the game,
it's just Tim Allen's face.
It comes up with the logo, but then you just hear
that grunt he does. Perfect. And the other one, you probably will say no to this. Okay.
Persuade me.
But I honestly think True Lies could potentially have more story to tell. So out of those 3, which one would you like to discuss? Because otherwise we'll end up discussing for hours. We just pick one. So we've got Galaxy Quest, Small Soldiers, and True Lies.
I think Galaxy Quest. How do you do that?
Well,
so where does it end? Remind.
Okay, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen. You've had 20 plus years to watch Galaxy Quest, but here we go. The ending, I believe, they saved the day. They had all those little aliens, the people who sound. They have this voice, and they swear.
Listen to our podcast available on Spotify.
and they all become heroes of the day. They all go and they destroy the bad guy who had a pineapple for a head. Remember, it had like a little
Yeah,
pineapple
the
for a
moving
head.
pineapple. Yeah.
Sam Rockwell's character had like a overarching
Oh,
like
I
character
forgot
arc.
he was in that.
Yeah,
He's so
his name
good in
was
that
Guy.
as
He was
Guy.
Guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at the end he becomes like a full-on cast member,
Yeah.
and that's kind of how it ends. And I guess the Legacy sequel could be a play on Legacy sequels, where the original one was about a beloved sitcom. What was it? A sitcom? Well, I
Oh, it
guess it
was
was like
a
a
beloved sci-fi show,
beloved sci-fi
essentially a
show.
stand-in for Star Trek.
Yeah,
Um,
and it kind of
they're
like
all sort of
fizzled out.
washed up. Yeah, they
Yeah,
turn up to a convention. They're all a bit washed up, and then the premise for anyone who hasn't the premise for anyone who hasn't seen Galaxy Quest is Tim Allen gets beamed up by a bunch of aliens who think that the TV show is a documentary,
right. Yeah,
and that Tim Allen, Alan Rickman,
great concept.
Sigourney Weaver, all the other characters, they're all actors, but the aliens
Hmm.
think that they are their characters, and they need to be saved from the evil pineapple head.
Yeah, that's right.
But I think what helps is that at the end, old pineapple head gets disintegrated, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
But
believe so.
the audience at the sci-fi convention think it's a special effect.
Right. Yes, that's
So
it.
the world doesn't know that these aliens exist. So I suppose
Mhm.
you've got scope for.
Right.
So are you suggesting that you would do that in the film? The
Mhm.
actors are making a reboot of the show that they are in.
Potentially. I mean, I went as far as thinking about the movie. I haven't actually come up with any plot, and I guess
It's
this
not
is the reason.
necessary. Just reference.
But here's a creative angle, right? Make Sam Rockwell the lead character.
Well, he has
Because
got more of the box office draw nowadays.
he does, and I just think give his character more room to breathe, make him the main character, and I guess Tim Allen and Sigourney Weaver could make cameos, but it should all be about him, like
Okay.
having a spin-off show, like Galaxy presents Guy in space or something like
Okay, Guy in space.
that.
You would need to have
Space Guy.
You would.
Hollywood, I hope you're listening.
Perfect. Like and subscribe.
We're giving these ideas out for free. Anyone who wants to take these picks, like all we ask for is 10% of the royalties.
Yeah, so we're giving them away for free as long as you give us money.
Yeah, that's right.
But would you
That's how it works.
Would you have him just by himself? I feel like he needs someone to maybe.
No, he needs an
bounce off.
ensemble. He needs an ensemble cast with him. So it has to be like more or less the same formula, where it's because Tim Allen had all his other people around him, kind of like how what's his name from Star Trek, James T. Kirk. He had his ragtag group of rebels.
Ragtag group of
real
Rebel.
Slim Shady. Please stand up. So who would he have? Sam Rockwell.
I think you have to have, but not too much, because I think he was the dark horse of the original movie.
Okay.
The oh my goodness, I've forgotten his name. The guy who played Monk.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about. The guy who also gets his head shrunk in Men in Black.
Yes, don't you know how much that stings?
Which is incidentally, I saw Monk just popped up on Netflix. You can watch the whole series now. But I'd never watched Monk. I've only seen clips. Is that a good show?
What, Monk?
Yeah.
Bits I've seen. I haven't seen that much of it. I'm trying to find out his name now because it's
Monk Man.
I can see his face. Monk.
I can see his face as well. I know exactly.
Guy and Monkman in space. Tony Shalhoub. He is great in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I don't know if you've seen that.
Never seen that one.
No. Oh man, it's great. But yeah, in Galaxy Quest, again, for those who haven't seen it, he's essentially high the entire movie.
Yeah, it's great. It's very funny.
But I do think that would be overdone if you had him as a main character.
Well, he has a romance with an alien, right?
Yes, he
I
does,
believe.
doesn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe we could revisit him at some point, and he's got a big alien family.
Yeah. Bunch of kids just running around.
Half monks, half aliens running around doing detective work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be one episode.
That could be one. Also, this is a series. Are you picturing it as like? So if we want to make it, you could make it as a. I guess it could be quite meta. So if you made it as Space Guy, Galaxy Quest presents Space Guy, and each episode is an episode of his show, but then maybe half of it is actually in show and the other half is off show, so you can kind of see.
Does he go to space?
I mean, we know space exists in this movie, so potentially he could.
Exist. Yeah.
Space does exist in this movie.
I don't know if any of the listeners know, but Leslie actually has a PhD.
Oh, I wish I could just reach through that screen right now. In this
Galaxy Quest universe, space exists. Unlike our universe, of course, where space doesn't exist. It's just Earth, isn't it?
Anyway, let's wrap it up and figure out how does this series / movie end. Do we have Guy have another arc? Do we have a different character who has an arc like in the original movie?
I think to really end it on what on paper is a massive high and a cliffhanger, but what will anger the fans most, I say we kill off Sam Rockwell's character and have the return of the Pineapple Heads.
I thought you were going to say the return of Tim Allen, like at the end
as a pineapple head.
Yeah,
it makes as much sense. It makes as much sense as any of the Argyle plot twists. So let's just have that. Tim Allen as a pineapple head,
and then you hear the Home Improvement theme song. The end. Anyway, I hope you liked.
Perfect. Like and subscribe.
This episode. Yeah, like and subscribe to our podcast. We're aiming to do this every week. So if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe, and I'll let the outro do the outro because can't be asked, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's a bit much. Having to it's been 4 years, and I forgot how much talking to you is just a real slog. You know.
Yeah.
It really takes it out of me.
Going back to reality instead of doing a bit, I'm just going to say a lot has changed. I mean, like social media platforms have changed names, you know. There's been, I mean, I guess we can just end it there.